One of the jobs of any good artist is to work to hone their skills and to practice. And I'm sure that this is something that you consider and think of all the time in your own artwork and in your own practicing time. So one of the things that I'm trying to get better at is drawing and painting cars and street scenes. And so I've been doing some sketches, and I'm going to do a little sketch right now looking out this window. So when it comes to practice, one of the things that you want to think about is the difference between doing something frequently and doing something by volume. These are kind of the two big metrics in which we think about how we practice and how we improve a skill. And really, any skill can be technically improved with either one of these things. What do we mean by volume? Volume is how long you're practicing your skill. How long are you going to draw or paint for? How long is that going to take? Are you going to spend hours a week, hours on a single sketch, hours on each individual piece? Are you going to do more frequent sketches, more frequent paintings, more frequent pieces of artwork and drawings and things like that? And both are beneficial, both can be helpful, but one thing that I would like to propose to you is the idea of focusing more on frequency and less on volume. I think that people often say and consider, oh, I don't have time to practice. I don't have time to paint. I don't have the time. And certainly I'm guilty of this. I think of this all the time myself. I'm constantly saying, man, I just don't have time. I wish I had more time. Things like that. And certainly time is kind of the precious commodity. It is the thing that probably stops most of us from doing what we want to do. And so I can 100% relate to that. That said, I don't know that thinking in those terms is as valuable as you might think. Because one of the things that I know a lot of people do, whether it's with art or some other discipline, is that you essentially install in your mind a baseline minimum. If I don't have 2 hours to paint today, it's not worth trying. I'll paint tomorrow. If I don't have 30 minutes, I might as well not even go for it, right? This is something that we all do to a certain extent. And I want to propose that you stop doing that you stop giving yourself a minimum. If you only have 5 minutes at the end of your day to sketch for 5 minutes. If you have 20 minutes to sketch for 20 minutes. If you have half an hour, great, sketch for half an hour. What if you only have 1 minute? What if you only have 30 seconds to doodle on a Post-it note in the middle of a meeting? I would like to suggest that doodle on that Post-it note for 30 minutes. Why? Well, because that concept, that idea of a minimum isn't helping you. It's hurting you. Because when you think about it, you're essentially making the argument that due to my busy schedule, 0 practicing of my art skills is better than 1 minute. It's better than 10 minutes. It's better than 30 minutes, or whatever it is that you've indicated to yourself. And that's just not the case. 1 minute is better than no minutes. Half an hour is better than nothing. And I think that that's something that a lot of times we tend to kind of shortchange ourselves, shortchange the options before us, and kind of discount, we don't have the perfect situation. And so we just can't do it. In reality, you're never going to have the perfect situation. And so what better time than now to go for it. Utilize the time that you have. Utilize the time that you do have to paint, to sketch, to draw, and focus on trying to do as much of it as you can, as frequently as you can. So rather than saying, well, I only have time on the weekends to paint, so I'm only going to plan on painting one day a week, what if you said, I'm going to try and paint every day this week? What would that look like for you? Getting your paints out, doing a 10-minute sketch, doing a 5-minute sketch at the end of the day. What would that look like? I propose that if you change how you think about this, you will actually change your skill set to be able to paint faster, to be able to draw more quickly, to be able to draw more accurately. And all of those things will benefit you when you do have the time that you want, when you are able to commit the time to do the 3-hour plein air session or what have you, right? And I mean, I get it. If I had my preference, I 100% would be painting every day for 3-4 hours plus. And I don't have that luxury right now. I have a job, as I'm sure most of you do. And so what do? I try to make the best of a lackluster situation. And that is to say that I try to paint as much as I can, which is what I'm doing right now. I don't have much time today, but I'm going to do the best that I can. And I'm painting here in gouache, doing a little sketch just in black and white, looking out my window, my apartment, and we'll see how much of this we can get done. And I have about 15 minutes, so we'll see what we can do in 15 minutes. Probably not too much, but that's not the point. The point is doing it. I would rather have sketched today than have not sketched. I would rather have tried to do something than to have done nothing at all. And so I'm going to go for it. Who knows how good it'll be? It probably won't be any good at all, to be honest with you. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try to work on my skills. Now, this is the other thing I want to talk about. When you're practicing, when you're thinking, I want to get better, I wish that I was better, I wish that I could do this thing or that thing with art, it's very important that you lay out for yourself specific goals, trackable goals, a goal that you can measure. Because if you can't measure it, how will you know if you achieve it? How will you know if you accomplish that goal? You won't. You'll just have this amorphous sense that you didn't accomplish that goal. And that's probably one of the most depressing things that you can do. And my question to you, again, if you find yourself doing this, would be, how does that help you? Because whatever it is that you're doing, you want to help yourself. You want to have an established goal that is measurable, something like what I'm doing right here. I want to get better at cars, okay? Something like, I want to challenge myself to sketch more, right? I just want to sketch more. I just want to sketch and paint more. I want to produce more pieces of artwork just to see what happens. And by doing something like that, you know, sketching more is something that you can easily do. You can easily track that. How? Well, did you sketch today? How many times did you sketch this week? Don't keep track of how long you sketched for. Don't keep track of finished pieces or if it was any good or if you enjoyed it. Forget about all of that. Just, did you do it? right? Did you doodle on that post-it note in that boring meeting at work for 20 minutes? Count it. Did you take 10 minutes at the end of the day to sketch something at home, a still life of just what's on your nightstand before you went to bed? Count it. See if you can get 7 or more pieces of artwork done in your week. Why? Because then you can look at your goal and you can say, I accomplished it. You can look at your goal and say, I got it done. And now you have something to build upon. See, if you don't do anything, how can you build upon that? How can you measure it? How can you say, well, I need to get better? Get better compared to what? But if you force yourself to have a consistent practice and try to say, I'm going to paint cars, horses, portraits, and I'm going to try and do it every day this week, or as much as I can. Then at the end of the week, you can debrief, just like a teacher would do if you were in art school. Just like, any sort of rigorous academically rigorous situation would present to you. You can do it yourself. And that's the awesome thing about this, is that we live in a time where we have resources where you can teach yourself and you can grow your skill and you can get better at something pretty much all on your own. We have the resources here on YouTube, resources at your public library, websites and web forums and Facebook groups, and perhaps there's artists in your community that you know that could help you. Now I need to focus here. I need to squint at what I'm looking at. And I'm trying to see my values. This is one of the things I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to work on getting the big shapes. I'm trying to do it in a specific amount of time. I'm trying to also get my tonal values somewhat accurate. And right now, they're probably not that great, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Underneath the car is darker. The shadow of a car. There's some dark accents in the car. I need to get that in the window. So my brain, I'm thinking about a lot of things, but already, to be honest with you, I feel somewhat successful. Why? Just because I'm here sketching. Do you know what I was doing before this? Scrolling on Instagram, not doing anything particularly beneficial. I do like to look at other artists' artwork, and a lot of times that gives me some inspiration. But to be honest with you, a lot of times it's just a big time sap where I could be doing like what I'm doing right now. I could be sketching, I could be painting or doing something like that, but I often forsake that just for the fact that I'm kind of killing time, and it's a big waste of time, and I rarely feel good about it. Trying to also capture sort of a sense of light, and just by painting on this toned surface, there's 15 minutes. I think I'm going to extend it a little bit more. Maybe we'll cut this down. I'm gonna try for maybe 5 more minutes. Okay. And that back tire is actually lighter. The hubcap is lighter on this back tire because it's getting a little bit more light. I'm gonna paint all of it a lighter color, and then I'll go in and cut out the dark shadow aspects of that. Come back with this patch of grass that's kind of occluding part of the curb here. And honestly, I don't mind leaving the tone of the page as for pavement and things like that. I don't mind that at all. Let me put in some of the highlights on these trees back here. And I might push those highlights just a little bit. To kind of create a sense of depth. And I want to kind of lose these trees back here because it's not the main focus, obviously. I need to darken in here. And this is just something that's kind of quick and dirty, to be honest. But I feel progress because it was already hard for me to even just make this sketch happen, right? And so it feels good to be doing this process. And so I want to encourage you guys, don't hamstring yourself by thinking you have to be like other artists and you have to do as much as, you know, the artists on Instagram. You don't. You don't have to be anybody else. You know who you have to be? You. You have your life, and you have to live it. Most of the artists on Instagram or the people you know, they have to walk their journey. They have to walk their path. And you don't know necessarily everything that they did to get there. But what you can do is walk your path. Focus on your journey. Focus on what can you do to get better. And by doing that, you will get better. And that's kind of really fun to experience. You know, it kind of goes back to, don't pull the speck out of your brother's eye, pull the plank out of your own eye. And I feel like there's just a lot more that we can be doing for ourselves to improve our artwork. And one of them is unburdening ourselves from volume of practice. You can do, if you have opportunity and you have the ability and you have the time, go for a volume of practice. But I think too many people impose themselves, I have to paint for 3 hours. I have to paint for however long it is. And it doesn't work out. They don't have that time. And so they put it off for later. And it's, why put it off for later? Tomorrow's not given, right? But if you have today, if you have some time today, do it. Do what you can do today. Because you won't get today back. If you can do some artwork just for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes today, go for it. Do it. And challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to get as much done as you can. And see how much you can get done. See what does it feel like to what does it feel like to do art every day, even for 5 minutes? What does that shift in your mindset do? Okay, so that turned into closer to 25 minutes than 15, but it was really enjoyable. I'm glad that I got a chance to do some sketching. I'm glad that I got to continue working on my skills, and I'm excited to see where continued sketches, where the next sketch is going to take me, what I'm going to learn. Let's actually look at this and kind of debrief a little bit. I like the general sense of tonal values that I got, although I know that they probably could be more accurate. I really like the looseness back here. I like that I didn't get overly distracted by, detailing the trees and things like that. I think that's a artifact of moving quickly. I really like this dry brush effect, and I kind of want to use the tone of the paper a little bit more next time. Let's talk about like some things I think I could work on next time. I think that it's a little bit too stubby and short. I think that the length here could have been a little bit better. I also think like this perspective line is off slightly, and I probably could add some midtones here in this area. These little patches of tone paper popping through aren't really pleasing to me, and obviously like I can fix this right now. This tire is hidden by the curb, but for some reason this one isn't, so it looks a little bit wonky. I'm gonna fix that real quick. Think about what are the weak spots or the things that bother you or annoy you that you want to get better at, and then try to do it a little bit every day. Focus on frequency. Don't worry about comparing yourself to other people. You are your own artist. You have your own lens that you have to look at the world through that is unique to you, that other people will be inspired by. Just the fact that maybe you sketch for a few minutes every day might encourage somebody else to pick up sketching. And I know this because that's how I got into art. So if I can be inspired to try it, who knows who you can inspire. Remember, you have a voice that matters. Go be creative. I'll see you next time.